Hi, I'm Brady with Tonna Mechanical. Today we'll be explaining about what we're looking for on your heating season maintenance, particularly with your furnace. A lot of things we'll be looking at today is making sure basically that the furnace is running efficiently and least likely to break down. One of the first things we look at during your maintenance is your filter. There's many different types of filters and whatnot. This is one of our Aprilaire filters. It's a very highly recommended filtration method. But basically we want to make sure that's staying clean. Otherwise, if this filter is dirty, it's going to cause your system to overheat or undercool, depending on the season. So we want to make sure we're changing that regularly. You can't really change it enough. So making sure you're changing that enough. These filters, on average, are about 1 to 2 times a year. Some households might end up with 3 times a year, but checking it regularly is going to make sure we keep the machine in tip-top performance. And having good filtration is going to prevent it from getting dirty, which is going to help with the lifespan and efficiency over the years. Before we start to open things up, we're going to do a visual inspection of the outside of everything. Your exhaust pipe, your fresh air pipe, make sure we don't see any leakage or anything like that, making sure all the holes are sealed and whatnot, making sure everything's sloped right. Those are all key factors in making sure that the system's going to function properly. And then also up here, you also have, in some houses, zone dampers. These just control the flow of airflow according to if you have several different thermostats in the house. Making sure they're functioning properly, which we will check during the base of the maintenance. Sometimes they can get stuck and we want to make sure they're free and clear and working properly too. We will also look down the your condensate drain here. Sometimes we can see down in there, sometimes we can't. We could also pour water down here, ensuring that everything is flowing right to the drain or to your condensate pump, and your condensate pump is working as well. So that's another vital part. That way we don't get water backing up into the furnace or leaking on your floor. So after we check all that, we'll go inside the furnace and we'll pop the doors off. First, popping the top door off. Every furnace is going to be a little bit different on how they open up. And then I will pop the bottom door off. Now in the bottom door, when I take the bottom door off, it has a kill switch on it right here. All furnaces should have that. That's an important part to make sure that's operating properly. If it doesn't kill the power, then that makes this unsafe for us to work on it, and we got to figure out what's wrong with that. But that's going to ensure when we have our hands inside the electrical components and in the blower wheel that we're not getting harmed. And then we kind of just visually check the furnace from top to bottom, checking out your burners up here, making sure they're free and clear, not much for rust or soot. Some of them, if they're not burning properly, will show soot. Then we will check your igniter, ohm that out, make sure that's ohming properly, and reading with inspect to ensure that that doesn't break down as well. Your igniter will glow bright red in most new furnaces and will ignite the flame. And then you have your flame sensor here. We'll check that during operation. Once we'll hook our meter into that and check that in microamps DC to make sure that's reading within spec as well. This is your gas valve. The operation of that will be checked when the system is up and running. We check the gas pressures on that, the incoming pressure and the outgoing pressure. The incoming pressure is controlled by a regulator. And then we check your outgoing pressure to make sure that's set up correctly as well, all to make sure the equipment is running properly and efficiently as possible. This is your inducer motor. This is what pulls the flame through the heat exchanger. Most heat exchangers are kind of like an S shape. and you won't be able to visually see that, but this pulls the flame and gases through the heat exchanger and then exhausts those gases outside. So we want to make sure that's not noisy and running smoothly there too. And then there's just a bunch of different safety devices that we check while the system's running. These are pressure switches to ensure this is working correctly. It's pulling the right amount of pressure. If those aren't working, then we'll dive into that. Now, one other thing we do check, and you won't be able to see, most of us will take a picture of this so you can get a visual look at it to see what kind of condition it is inside here, your blower wheel. That's what moves the air through the system, through your ductwork, pulls it back through your returns and then out your supplies. We want to make sure that's clean and free of debris. If it's not, if it's dirty, then we will have some efficiency issues, and then your system will be more likely to break down. Keeping that clean ties back into your filtration. Having a good filter in place to ensure that keeps that clean.